Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. Alright, I'm gonna open Visual Studio Code. So last time I had the website folder, I called it scooters. Inside that I've got my CSS, and I've got an images folder, and I've got my index.html. And so far this is what we did. So I used what I created on Figma as a guide. So let's look at my drafts. Here it is. So I think we kind of got the hang of Figma. So this, again, it's a tool for designers to design a website, and then they pass it on. Well, first they show it to the client, see if the client likes how it's gonna look. Then they start building it, or they give it to a web designer, a web developer to actually make it. Okay, but we're doing both. We're designing it and we're gonna make it. So far, I've got something similar to this with the navigation at the top, with the logo on the left and the buttons on the right, and we've got a full-size background, except this time instead of a picture I'm using a video. I didn't find a good video, I just found some random video on YouTube.
Hey everyone,
But
Micah here with Electrek, and today I'm reviewing...
I don't know, maybe I'll find a nicer video and put it. Also, when you put videos, usually you want to have that video playing automatically. Right now it doesn't play automatically. I have to click on the play button. But I think we could add like an autoplay on it. Let me see if we could do that with YouTube videos. If we go, where's the video here? We put it here with this iframe. So this is that video. I just copied this from YouTube. If you go on any video and click share and then click on embed, it'll give you this iframe code. And then you can get rid of the default width and the height and put your own through CSS, which is what I did. Let's see. I put width of 100%, and the height, I made it as tall as the screen. So iframes are not the same as video tags. The other way to add a video would be to use a video tag, but if you do it like this, you have to actually have the video file on your server. With this, I'm just linking to a YouTube video, so it's less resources for your server. You don't have to upload a video to your server, but also you're gonna have to use like either YouTube or Vimeo or something, and I don't know if it has autoplay. I might be able to. No, it doesn't have the autoplay. There might be a way to autoplay it though. I'll figure that out, and then we'll add that later. If not, I might find like a nice looping video from somewhere like Pexels. Let's see if they actually have something. Pexels video though. These are all photos. How do we go to the Pexels video? How can we search video? Let's do, I don't know, something like the beach, but there we go, videos. Let's see if they have one for scooter. That's kind of lame, so we won't use that one. I think this would be good. So yeah, I could download this video, and just like the pictures on Pexels, the video you can download and do whatever you want with it without having to worry about like copyright issues. You can see there's a lot. I can pick any of these. Um, I think I'll go with this one. So I can download this. 64 megabytes. It's kind of big though. I don't know if it's a good idea putting something that big. Because I want it to load really quickly, and if you have a video that's that big, you might have issues. So, um, size. Let's just do. Well, we want all sizes, but I want something very small, so it could loop quickly. I think these are a little too long. Um, let's try Pixabay. Let's choose Scooter again, and let's do videos. Oh, that's from iStock. Let's see, MP4. Let's try this one. Download. Um, 44 megabytes. Still big, but I don't know. I hope it kind of plays quickly. I'll show you how to make these videos a little bit smaller. Like right now, we could have this as a background for the website when we start. Um, but at 44 megabytes, I don't know if it'll play quickly. It might take forever to load and kind of ruin the user experience. But there's free software out there to download, like this one, Handbrake. It's absolutely free. You can download it, and it works really good. I have also Adobe Media Encoder, which you can use to um, compress or encode videos, but Handbrake actually works a lot better. It's faster and gets you a much smaller file size. So right now this is at 44.8 megabytes. Let's drop it in here. And I want to start encoding. Let's pick where we want to save it though. Let's put it on the desktop. So I'll change this to desktop. Save it here. And let's see what it does. I'm not going to change any of the settings. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Looks like it's on 1080p, so that's good. Press start, and okay, it'll take a couple minutes, I guess, but it's pretty fast. Um, in the meantime, let's go over my CSS. So again, I did a little reset, just got rid of all the default margins and paddings, and I made sure everything is box sizing border box. So when I add borders and padding, it gets included in the total width and the height. And we've got our header, and you could see I'm embedding stuff. I'm nesting styles, I mean. So the same way I have it in my HTML, we've got a header. Inside the header, we have this div logo, and we have a nav. I'm doing the same in the CSS. So I've got the header, there's my logo, and the nav. They're all inside the header. And the only reason this is possible is because I'm using SCSS. And again, you need to download and you need to install the live Sass compiler to be able to do that. So if you didn't download that yet for your plugins, make sure you do. It should look like this. And once you have it, you click Watch SAS, and it'll look at all your SCSS files. And anytime you make changes and you save it, it'll automatically update the CSS file. Okay, because it's the CSS file that you're actually linking to in your HTML, but you're working on the SCSS file because it's easier to work with than this. Okay, it's easier because you can nest things and keep it a little more organized. So this thing finished. Let's see how big it is now. So this was 44 megabytes. This one was actually bigger. Okay, so that failed. Let's delete. Um, maybe I should change the presets here. MP4. We could try lowering the quality. Devices, web. Maybe we do video 720. Oh, I don't want to do 60 frames per second. I want to. The higher the frames per second, the bigger the file size is gonna be. Let's do general. Above very fast. 1080p. Try that again. Hopefully it'll be smaller this time. Okay, so yeah, I don't want to go over all the stuff I did last week. I mean yesterday, but let's look at what we need to add. Okay, so I think the next thing I want to do is make these buttons look nicer by getting rid of the underline, changing the color. Right now, when you visit one of them, it turns purple. If you don't visit, it's gonna be blue. So to change those, we go to the SCSS file and look for nav, ul, li, and here a. So these a's are the links, right? The a inside the li, that's the actual link. So that's what we need to change. We need to change this to text decoration none to get rid of the underline. And we also need to change the color. If you don't want it to change colors, let's just leave it on, let's do hashtag 000 for black. Oh, sorry, we need to click watch SAS, otherwise it doesn't update the CSS file. That's what we're linking to, so that's what needs to update. Okay, now it should, yeah, now it's black, no more underline. Looks a little nicer, but let's make it bigger because here we got this nice big size. Also, if you want to use that same font, I'm sure we could because I'm pretty sure Figma gets its fonts from Google Fonts. And this one was called, let's see, Sensation Light. So let's go to Google Fonts and see if we can use that Google Fonts. Okay, so here's our Google Fonts. We could pick any of these fonts and use it. Now, since I already got one there that I liked, I'll see if they have it here. Sensation. They have sensational. Okay, so they don't have that font exactly. Um, Sensation light. Yeah, they don't have it. Okay, so I'll just have to pick something similar. I wonder where they got sensation. I mean, uh, why is this popping up? I don't want to deal with that. Okay, they have the sensation font on some websites you could download for free. Not sure what the usage rights are on this. Licenses. Um, a lot of these free fonts, you still have to like see if they have a, let's see, open font license. This software is like, um, I don't know. I'm guessing if it's open font license, that means you could do whatever you want with the font. So we could, if I really wanted it, I could download Sensation and use that font, but it's fine. I'll just pick an alternative from Google Fonts, so I don't have to download anything. Um, so I'll just search Google Fonts for something nice. Just go through here, pick something nice and modern looking. Um, I mean, they all look the same. While I do this, you guys could look for a font that you like, and once you find the font you like, click on it, and it'll give you a link that you're gonna have to copy and paste into your HTML. Just like it's gonna look exactly like a style sheet, and then you also need to copy paste the font family name. So let me just pick one here. Let's say Pathway Gothic. Okay, I'll use this Pathway Gothic 1. So once I click on it, we can see here we could either download it or let me go back. So Pathway Gothic, click on it. We can link to it instead of downloading it. So if you go to select styles and pick what style you want. So they have, you could choose the size to see what that looks like. This is regular right now. I don't think they have any other styles. So it looks like it's just regular. So for this one, I'll just go with the regular. Say select this style. Pathway Gothic 1, regular 400, and click embed. And there's that style sheet link. So then you just have to copy this. And you can see it's just a style sheet. Copy it. Go to your index and you could paste it, I guess, before your style sheet, because your style sheet is probably gonna use the names from here. So your style sheet kind of depends on the font, because inside your style sheet is where you're gonna choose where you want to use that font. So it's probably better to put it before your style sheet. And if you look here, there's the font family, Pathway Gothic. It tells you here CSS rules to specify families. So that's what you need to copy and use that as your font. So for body, I'll just put font family, Pathway Gothic 1, sans serif. That's the one I just downloaded. So this second one, there's a Pathway Gothic 1 and then a comma sans serif. This just means in case it can't find this font, then It's just gonna use any sans serif font. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it changed. I mean, it looks. I mean, it's just a regular sans serif font. It's kind of hard to tell that it's something different than the default. But if we look at this again, oh wait, is it that? It should be kind of taller and skinnier, right? Let me inspect, make sure it is. Um, Font family, yeah, pathway Gothic. Yep, it is working. If I turn it off, you could see it goes back to the regular font. Let me also try deleting this part, because it might just be a sans serif. Oh, I think that is what's happening. Okay, no, the font is not working yet because I never saved the this file that I put the thing in, the the style sheet link. So you can see here there's a 1 here, that means you haven't saved something, so save it. There we go. So that's what the font should look like. Okay. And of course it's tiny, so I'll increase the font size. So I'll just go to my navigation, and in the unordered list, or I could put it here because the child elements will inherit from the parent element. So if I just want everything inside the nav to be a bigger font, I could put it here, change the font size here. Or I could be more specific and I could put it right here in the A's. I think I'll put it, let's just put it here in the LI's. I'll say font size. And why is this property is ignored? Yeah, font size. Let's do 1.3 EM. Make it basically 130% bigger. That's fine. I think we could make it a little bigger. Let's go 1.5. Okay, that's good. And yeah. Okay, that looks nicer, I think. And then what else do we need to do? We need to change it so when we come to a smaller size screen, inspect. I want to make it so it looks nicer at this size. Right now it looks weird. Actually, I don't think this preview is accurate. Sometimes when you're checking like the font size, different font sizes on here. Okay, see now it's a little different. Like earlier it was different, now it's showing it like this. Also, there's all this space here. You could see because the navigation buttons don't fit, the whole thing gets like wider. So that means for sure we need to get rid of the buttons and replace it with the 3 lines. So when you click the 3 lines, then the navigation will pop out just like we have it here in Figma. So we gotta change that to that. Okay. Luckily, I've already recorded a video on how to do this hamburger icon, but I'll do it again, and then I'll also give you the link on how to do it, so you could watch the video, because I know you might not catch it the first time how to do it, because it involves CSS transitions and animating stuff. So let's go over how to create the hamburger button. So to create the hamburger button, we're gonna have to have a separate navigation. So the current navigation I have here, we could give this an ID equal to full menu, and then here I'll just say, instead of nav, I'll say nav hashtag full menu. ID full menu, yeah, so nav hashtag full menu. And after nav hashtag full menu, I'll have another one. I'll have another nav. This one will be hashtag mobile menu. I'm gonna go back to index and we're gonna copy this whole nav here, paste it after the first one. Okay, and this one we're gonna say, instead of full menu, mobile menu. So now I've got two menus, full menu and mobile menu. So the difference is gonna be where this one was display inline. This one will be this display block, so it'll be, instead of next to each other, they'll be on top of each other. But if we look at it right now, you're gonna have two menus. You can see there's one here and then there's one here too, but it's covered by the video right now. But the other buttons are there. You can see home up here. Of course, we're gonna have to show one at a time. So we'll have to hide one of them and show one of them. And for now, we could hide the mobile menu. So you could say display none to get rid of it, so it won't be there anymore. And then we're gonna have to create a media query for when I make the screen smaller. So the media query is basically for when you make the screen smaller, you'll have different CSS for that. When it's full screen, you'll have the regular CSS, but as soon as it gets smaller, you can say, okay, stop using that CSS, use this one for smaller sizes. Well, actually, it'll still use these, but you can override whatever's up there with whatever you add to this media query, which looks like this: at media screen and max dash width, let's say 900 pixels. So why 900? I don't know. I'm just guessing. If we inspect this and let's switch this to responsive here, 900 pixels would be this size right here. So actually, I don't know if that's gonna be, why is everything so big? Hold on. Inspect. There we go. Okay, so 900 pixels is right there. So any smaller than this is when it'll change into the second type of menu. So this will disappear at this size. At this size, we'll still see it, but as soon as it's smaller than 900, it'll switch to using the styles that are in here. Okay. So, for example, here I'm saying nav mobile menu display none. Well, here it won't be display none. It'll be display, I guess, block to bring it back. And then we can also say the other one, nav full menu this one will be display none. Okay, so now it should hide the full menu at anything less than 900 pixels, and it should show the mobile menu whenever we get to that size. So let's see if it works. Well, you can see both of them disappear here. This one is gone, but I can't see the other one either. Let me see why. Oh, the reason why we don't see it is because I'm not specific here enough. I'm saying nav mobile menu, but here I'm not just saying nav mobile menu. You gotta remember, since it's nested inside the header and inside the nav, well, just inside the header, I guess. Since it's inside the header, if you look at the CSS, the regular CSS for it, you can see it's more specific. It's header, where is it? Header nav mobile menu. So it's a little more specific. It has this extra header here to say the nav menu inside the header. And so here I'm only saying nav mobile menu. And I think I talked about specificity with you guys, right? The more specific you are, the more important it's going to be. So here I just have to add header and put this inside. So it's just as specific as the other one. Otherwise, the other one's going to override this. Okay, so now it shows up, except it's going to be under the video. So we got to bring it to this side, make it bigger, and have it cover the video. Okay. We could bring it in front by, I guess, up here in the original header. I just have to add position relative and z-index, just a really high number, like 1,000. Okay, the higher the number, the higher the z-index, the higher it's gonna be in the stack. So think of it as a deck of cards. The higher number is on top. So if all your elements are, just think of them as cards, whichever has the highest z-index is gonna be on top. So that's why now we can see all the buttons here for home, about, gallery. So now they're on top of the video because they have a higher z-index. So now we just need to move that to this side, and we want it to like pop out on maybe cover half the screen like this one. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna need to give the header its white background, because I think here it does have the white background, but let's see. Position relative, z-index 1,000. So I'm not sure why the white background's not showing up. It should be, there should be a white background on top of this, or behind the mobile menu. Let's inspect it real quick. So if we look here, I've got the A selected. I want to select the header. Background color FFF. So, oh, I see. Okay, even though the header has the white background and we can see it, it's still only 75 pixels tall and 100% wide. So it's still there. It's just now we need to change it so it's taller, make it have a height of 100 VH, so it extends down, and then maybe we could change the width to, let's say, I don't know, like 100 pixels, big enough to fit the buttons. Because right now it's going like that. We need it to come this way. So here in at media screen and max width 900 pixels, where I have the header, I'm gonna change the width and the height, because the original width and height is this: height 75, and I guess we don't have a width, but by default it's a width of 100%. So I'm just gonna change the height to 100 VH and also give it a width. So here I have to say, well, not here, but here where the header is, I'll say height 100 VH and width, let's say, let's try 200 pixels. And let's see what that looks like. Okay, so now you can see it changes to look like this. It's on the left side though. I kind of want it on the right side, so we'll have to fix that. But, and yeah, so it's pretty much almost there. We just need to mess with it a little bit. I think I want it more than 200 pixels though. Let's make it like cover maybe 300 pixels on the right side. So let's say with 300 pixels. And to get it to be on the right side instead of the left side, we'll just have to change the position to absolute and say right 0. Absolute positioning lets you position something relative to its parent, and the parent has to also have something set to position something. The default position for everything is static. When you have position static, you can't use right 0, it won't work. But when you change to position absolute, right 0 means you wanted 0 pixels to the right of its parent. So the parent in this case would be the body, because what's outside the header, it's the body. So the body is covering the whole screen. When you say position right 0, it's basically saying go right 0 pixels from the right side of the parent. Okay, so that's why I'm putting right 0 here. And now you can see it's on the right side. And now we need to just make the buttons bigger and spread apart more nicely. For that, we can let's go back up. Let me see where I added the font. Because if I could just do this one time, I'd rather just write it one time. So I have font size 1.5. Also got some margins on there. Not sure why I didn't inherit this on the bottom. Nav mobile menu. Oh, might be because I'm not sure. It should still be 1.5 with the same margin, and should still have that font. It does have the font, but just not the right size. So I wanted it to be 1.5. I guess I could just do it here too. So mobile menu, LI or UL, and then LI. We want them to be 1.5 EM. Okay, now it's bigger. Actually, we want it much bigger than that, I think. Maybe try 2.5. Okay, I think for a mobile menu, that's an okay size. Now, of course, we need it to be centered. So, I think, yeah, for that, all we have to do is text align center if we want the buttons in the middle. But maybe you want it to be like text align left in the center, like all on one line on the left side. But let's just do text align center right now, and maybe I'll change it later. Okay, came to the middle of something. but not exactly the middle of this whole box. That could be because the nav itself is not going from here to here, or it could be because this margin here. I need to get rid of these bullets. But I already did though with this margin 0 padding 0. So let me just give things a background color so I can actually see what they look like. So I can see the header, that's the white. But inside the header we have a nav and we have a UL. Let me see how big those are. So header, nav, let's give it a background color. Okay, you can see the nav is only this big. So that's why it's not centering all the way. So we just have to give it a width of 100%. And I think it's not recognizing the width 100%. Maybe because let me see. Inspect nav mobile menu with 100%. Yeah, it's not going 100%. Might be because the I don't know actually. Let's try. It has display block, so that's not the issue with 100%. So it should be 300 pixels. Hmm. And I know it's working because here it says with 100%. It's not like crossed out or anything. Let's figure that out. Header mobile menu, max width 900 pixels. Da, da, da. Oh, I see. It's still using the display grid. I forgot. Because up here we have display grid and it's split into 6 columns. We don't want that for this. So that's the header, right? Header, display grid, grid template columns. Okay, we need to stop using grid in the mobile one. In the mobile one, we just want display block, which should be fine. We don't need to use display grid here. Okay, there we go. And now to get rid of these bullets, for that you can just say for the UL list style type none. Okay. And also, why is it all the way down here? It should be up here. Let's see why it's down there. Inspect. Let's see. Ah, I see. The logo is taking up. Remember I said give the logo a height of like 80% or something? It's still 80% here, so it's taking up the whole thing. Because here I put logo height 80%. You gotta make sure in the mobile version the logo is not that tall. So here before nav, I'll add div hashtag logo, and let's change the height here to, let's say, 100 pixels. That should be tall enough for the logo. Even that, I think maybe is too much. So maybe 70 pixels. 70 doesn't look much different than 100, but I think that's fine. And now we need to spread these up, spread these apart more. So I'll just give them margins or padding around them. Also get rid of that underline again. So the A's here, again, text decoration none. If I want to avoid doing this more than once, because I already wrote it here, but I have to do it again because this is for nav full menu and the other one's for nav mobile menu. So what I could do is take this and let's see, we still want it, we don't want it inline block. We want it just text decoration none and color this. So what I could do is make a new CSS rule for A's, but we'll put this like at the end over here. And if we want all of them to have text decoration and color this, we could just put that here outside of the header. And then I don't have to say this here anymore. So if I say it here, it'll work for any A. Okay, so there we go. And then for the mobile one, we want it spread apart. So we'll say either margin or padding. I think I'll do margin. And let's do top and bottom margin, like 20 pixels. And maybe 0 for the left and the right. I think I got that backwards. 0 and then 20 pixels. Nope. 20 pixels 0. I think I might also need to add display block. There we go. And let's try 30. Okay. And then we can get rid of that green background color. I just put that so I could see the nav. Okay, that looks better. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the menu. Might want to center this though. To center this, we can just add let me see, it's an image tag, so make it bigger. The image, just need to give it a margin auto, I think, or text align center on the div to center that. So nav mobile menu. We already have text align center. Oh, that's for the nav though. For the logo, I'll just put display block so I can use margin auto. Margin auto only works for things that are either display block or inline block. It won't work for something that's inline, and I think images by default are inline. But then again, this is a div, so we don't really need this. We need it for the image actually. So inside the div we have an image. We could put margin auto on the image and display block, or we could just put text align center here on the div that's containing the image, because this is what we're looking at. There's a div, and inside it there's an image. If you put text align center on the parent, it'll center anything inside that's inline. And images by default, again, those are inline elements. so you can use text align center on them. So it should be centered now. Yeah, I think it's pretty centered, but I might push it a little this way to the left by adding a little bit of margin on the right side. Or padding, actually, padding right, say 10 pixels. A little more, maybe 20. Okay, I think now it looks a little more centered. I could even go more though, 25. That's fine. Let's go 30, might as well. Okay, now it looks centered. Okay. So far we got our home button working. The shop, of course, is not going to work. About, not going to work. Gallery is not going to work because we didn't create those pages yet. But now we've got our full menu. You make the screen smaller, you'll have the mobile menu. Inspect that, see what it looks like on a Pixel 2. There you can see this is what it'll look like on a phone. I think it's good, except now we need to only show this when we click a little button up at the top. So how are we gonna do that? So for that, we'd have to initially hide the mobile menu, or not hide it, but change the height of it. Because imagine if we change the height of this to, let's say, 75 pixels, then you'll only see this logo. Maybe at first we'll have, I don't know, maybe the logo on the top left, and then a little hamburger button up here that you could click to open all of this. We'll also have to change the width, I think. Have it just a little box at the top right corner. Um, how did we have it in Figma? Yeah, it's just like this. So logo on the left, this on the right. Yeah, we could do it like that. All right, so let's think about it. Might have to. So we don't have to use JavaScript or anything because I've done this before without JavaScript. It should work fine. But to get it exactly how we want it, gotta think about it. I don't want the logo here. Maybe for this even. Maybe for this we could have the logo outside. That means what we're gonna need to do is um, keep the what do you call it, the header as it was before. So like this, keep the header like this, and this box here, instead of this being the header, I think this should be the nav. That way we could keep the logo outside of it, and we could keep the header there all the time, always visible, and then we could have a little button inside the header in the place of the nav. I think that's the smartest way to do it. So everything here that I did for um, the header inside the media query, this height 100 VH with 300 pixels. I should just put this for not the header but the nav, this too. So all this stuff basically, I'm gonna cut it out and put it on the nav. Okay. Um, Now we need to, of course, give it the white background. We need to, let's see, we need to get rid of the height on the header as well. So, I mean, the height is defined up here, but I think to undo the height, we could put height, I think auto, or I don't know how to remove it. Not sure how to remove the height after you've set it somewhere. Yeah, I think it's working because it is getting taller. You can see the white part kind of getting bigger when I do this. Height auto. Um, and then this will be, so the problem with position absolute is kind of lifts things out of their usual spot and everything ignores its size. If I take it out, I think, yeah, now the whole thing turns white. Whenever it's position absolute on something, the parent kind of ignores it. Like here, even though, let's save, even though the menu is like sticking out all the way out here, normally when you make a child of something big, the parent has to be as big as the child to be able to keep it inside. But when you make something position absolute, the parent kind of ignores it. It's like it's not there. That's why it looks like this. But if I take off that position absolute, then it gets bigger to fit everything. So now we just need to, I guess, change the width of the parent, or change the width of the child actually. Let's see. What is the width of the child? It's 300 pixels. And the width of the logo, let's also change that. Let's say like 100 pixels. And we'll also display block. You gotta change the, where is it? This one with 300 pixels. The header. We've got to change the width of this to, I think, 300 pixels. Okay. And of course, now instead of being on the left side, have it on the right side. So to get the header to be on the right side, we could use position absolute on it. Say right 0. Okay. But again, only at this size. So now it looks exactly like it did before, except it's not the um it's not the header that has a height of 100 VH. It's the nav. The header is just going to be as big as the nav. So now if we change the height of the header instead of auto, we could hide everything that's here. So you could say height, let's say normally it'll be on auto, but we could say whenever, actually normally we'll have it on, let's say 100 pixels. And also to hide stuff that doesn't fit, you have to say overflow hidden. Okay, so anything that doesn't fit inside that 100 pixel height is gonna be gone. Um, and then we could make it so we'll add a button here that we click. Whenever we click that button, then the height will change from 100 to auto, or whatever, however tall it needs to be to fit everything. Okay. Because again, we want to show a hamburger button here, not the full menu, until we click the button. Then we want it to come out. Okay, so and now 100 is a little too high. Let's do 70. Keep it the same height that it was. Oops. Yeah, like that. We can even think we could leave the width whatever it was too. Nope. Width 100%. Yeah. Okay. So now we need to create that hamburger button. The hamburger button is going to be inside the header. Nav mobile menu. Um, so this is going to be hidden at first. You're only going to see this div here, which we'll call hashtag ID equals hamburger. Or you call it menu button. I don't know. That's less confusing. Menu button. And inside that, we'll have 3 spans. A span is just a container, but just like a div, except spans are by default they're inline elements. Not spam, span. So let me just copy paste it. And why I'm doing spans is because each span is just going to be a little rectangle. I'm going to give it a width and a height. I'll give it like a height of, I don't know, like 5 pixels and a width of 30 pixels or something. It'll just be like a line. So each of these will be a little line. Um, so let's give that span its design right now. So header, div mobile menu. Before the mobile menu, we'll have our little div hashtag menu button. And inside that, we have the spans. So in order to give the span a width and a height, it has to be display block. Okay, width and height doesn't work on inline elements. You gotta change it to block. So I changed it, and let's give them a width of, let's try 30 pixels and a height of 5 pixels. And a background color. For now, I'll just make it black. Let's see what it looks like. I can't see it. Inspect. Div logo, div. Oh, I didn't save this yet. I have to save the index file. Oops. Where is it? Okay, so inside the header, there's a logo, there's a full menu, there's a menu button. Where's the menu button? Oh, it looks like it's covered by the logo or something. It's on the left side, it looks like. Yeah, they're over here somewhere. They're just hidden. Alright, so we need to somehow get it next to the logo. Right now the logo is display block, and it's not letting anything go next to it. So I could probably change it to inline block, or I could make the menu have display grid again instead of block. Oops, I put it twice. So the header, instead of, let's see, oh, display block. What does that change? Not much. Okay. Anyway, we need that button to go to the right side. So we could use position absolute again. Say right 0, and we also might need to say top 0. It's still hidden under the video. Okay, now it's there, but you can only see one of them. So let's not do the span, but oops, let's do it to the position absolute, right 0, top 0. That should be on not the span, but the div that's holding them. Okay, so now you can see them 1, 2, 3. They're just, it looks really thick because they're touching, so we should just give them a margin of either margin or, no, we need margin. If I put padding, then the padding is going to get filled with black too, so it's still going to get big. So margin, let's say 5 pixels. Okay, now we can see it. I think I'll make it a little longer, let's say like 40 pixels. That's good. And instead of right 0, let's say right like 20 pixels. And top also 20 pixels. That's good, okay. So that's where it'll be. And then let's make it so when we click on it, then the nav will start popping out. Because right now the nav is, or not the nav, but the header. It's got a height of 70 pixels. Okay, I need to fix that. I don't think that's gonna work if we give the header a height. The header, the way I'm gonna change the height of this or make it come out is by using this menu button. And if you want to interact with like if you want to change the styles of something, you can't change the style of a parent by changing the style of a child, but you could change the style of a sibling. Because there's a selector that lets you, if I click on this, if it has a sibling, in this case the nav, because they're siblings because they're next to each other. Because here's the menu button and here's the nav. They're at the same level, so they have the same parent. So there's a way to click on this thing and do something to this one. But there's no way to click on this one and then do something to the header. Okay, that won't work. Unless what you're doing is making this bigger and then this doesn't have a height and it automatically gets as big as it needs to be to fit this. That's the only way we could really change this. Okay, but for that to be possible, the header can't have a height. So I need to get rid of that height. The width, um, that one also I think I need to get rid of. Yeah. Save. Okay, but then it collapses like this. So we need to figure something out for that. I think um the header. Ooh, what could we do about the header? If we get rid of position absolute and write 0, it'll be big again. Then when we click this, the navigation will get tall and it'll force this to get tall. Um, hmm. I think it might not be possible to have it stick out like this, but not a big deal. What's gonna happen is instead of coming out halfway, this menu is basically gonna cover the whole page because I can't get it to become only this wide without using JavaScript. So it's gonna have to be like a full covering the whole page unless I think of something. Because right now I can't think of a way to do that, but I could get it to look like this. So that means when we click the logo, or not the logo, the menu button, we want to change this thing's height. Well, it already has a height of 100 VH, but mm, we're also gonna have to get rid of this height 75 pixels here. So right now, oops, if this had a height of auto, if uh, if it gets bigger, then we're in luck. If it's not gonna get bigger, okay, it does work. Okay, so yeah, we could make this happen. We just need to change this to auto, and then this needs to be height 0. Okay, and then why is this getting taller? Um, not sure why this gets slightly taller, but it might be this button. I have to figure out what's making it taller and then get rid of that height. Let's see. There's that. And the header has this tall height for some reason. Not sure where that bottom space is coming from. I could try turning off a few things to see what's causing it. Like for example, I could take the menu button and comment it out, see if that's what's causing it to get taller. But no, it doesn't look like that's what's causing it. So it's not the menu button. So what is it? Is it the mobile menu somehow? Let me comment out the whole nav. It's not that either. What if I comment out both? It still happens. I don't know why it gets taller. It could be the logo. Yeah, it must be the logo. The logo, we gotta make sure doesn't have a height that's more than 70 pixels. Um, it's got 80 pixel height, but then it's got margin top and left 20 pixels. I think that might be the problem. So let's try lowering that to 70%. And also make sure we save this. Oh, no, it's even worse now. Uh, let's see. Let's get rid of the margin then. Nope, it still gets taller. I don't know why it's doing that. Um, I'm gonna try giving it a fixed height instead of percentage. Let's say it should be 60 pixels. 60 pixels and no margin on the top. Still doing it. Um, hmm, see, we have the nav. Is it possibly the nav? Nope. Wait, save it. It's not the nav. It's not the button. It's not the mobile menu. Might be the mobile menu. I don't know. I think I just need to put a fixed height on everything and make sure nothing is ever taller than 70 pixels, because that's how tall the I want the nav to be. So that's how tall I want the menu, the header to be. So that's why I gotta make sure nothing's ever taller than that until I click the button. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just gets a little taller like this, but anyways, it's break time, so maybe that'll give me some time to figure it out. So let's just take a 15-minute break. When we come back, hopefully I'll figure out how to stop that from happening. It's not a huge deal, but it's just annoying. I don't like little jumpy things like that. Yeah, I could leave it. But I'll probably just give it to you later. So actually, why don't I just give it to you now? Let me copy this, paste it in here. Uh, hold on. I want to give it to you as a file. I don't want to just copy paste the whole thing. Here, I'll just do this. Where is it? Not exercises. This one, scooters. SCSS. And here's the index file also. So don't worry about trying to copy it. Just there's the file, so you can just copy paste. But again, the SCSS, a lot has to be changed. Anyways, 15-minute break. It's already past 8, so just come back at 8:20. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, let's see if we could do this without making too many mistakes. Alright, so we have this, and I'm gonna ignore this thing happening for now because I don't know, can't figure it out at the moment. But let's make it so when I click this, the menu pops out. So for that, we're gonna have to use the sibling selector. So if you look at W3 schools, let's search for CSS selectors. You can see here one of the types of selectors is, where is it? This one right here. Selects every UL element that are preceded by a, wait, no. Yeah, that are preceded by a, well, let's click on it to see an example. So if you have a paragraph, if you put a little squiggly line and then put another element, you can, let's see, where is it? So we've got paragraphs followed by unordered list, the first paragraph, and then it says there's an unordered list after it, and then here's another one, except, wait, no, this one's a H2, so this one wouldn't work. Let me see if what it's doing. It's changing the background color to red, but it is PUL. I guess it affects every UL that comes after a paragraph is gonna be with a red background. So it's, you're selecting the sibling and doing something to another sibling. So let me change this to P hover, because that's what we're gonna pretty much be doing, except not hover, but we'll be using focus. But let me see if it works with hover. So you can see once I hover over a paragraph, then the sibling unordered list changes to have this red background color. So we're going to be doing something similar, except we're going to be using focus, which means when you click on something, and once we focus on something, well, here it doesn't really work because you can't focus on a paragraph by default unless the paragraph has a tab index. Tab index equals, let's say, 1. Okay, now I could focus on it. So when I click on this, it gets focused, and any sibling that comes after it can have a new CSS style applied to it. Okay, Okay, so I'm gonna basically use that concept here. So that's why I have the nav as a sibling of the menu button. Okay, so let's first give the let's try with hover first, and then we'll convert to focus. So here I've got the, where is it? In here we've got the menu button. So I'm gonna say when I hover over the menu button, so we could either do div hashtag menu button hover and write a new rule for it like this. But we could also do it like this. Inside the div menu button, I could say and colon hover, which will do the same thing. So when we hover over the menu button, I want the sibling, so I'll use that squiggly line. Sibling, that's the nav. Let's just put nav hashtag mobile menu to be more specific. I want that to have a height instead of 0, because here it's 0. But when we click the menu button, I want the height to change to, let's try 100 VH. And let's see what that does. So let me refresh, make this smaller. Okay, so you can see when I hover over this now, the menu pops up. Okay, so that's what we want, except like this is useless because if I hover and I try to click a button, I can't because I stop hovering and it disappears. So what we need to do is, instead of using hover, we need to use focus. And in order to use focus, because right now we can't really focus on this, to be able to focus on this button, it has to have a tab index, or it has to be like a clickable item, like a button. So right now it's a div, and divs aren't clickable, so that's why I have to give it a tab index. So I'll just say tab index 1 on the menu button. Now I can focus on it. So when I click it, it gets focused and the menu pops up, and then I can click any of these buttons. There's one more problem though. If I focus on this and I click on this, it loses focus right away. So it doesn't actually navigate to where I want it to. But that problem will go away when we add transitions to like animate it, because the transition gives you extra time to be able to click the button. So instead of just popping out right away, disappearing, the transition will make this happen a little slower. So by the time this disappears, the click will register and it'll actually go to wherever you click. See, right now it's not going to shop or about. It's not doing it because it just disappears too quick because the focus is gone right away. So we could add a transition now. So for the mobile menu, because that's what's disappearing, nav mobile menu is going from height 0 to height 100 VH, but it's happening too fast. So to make it happen slower, we could say transition, and then we can say transition what we want to transition the height, and we want it to take maybe 0.5 seconds. I think that's all we need to add. So now you could see it pops out slowly, and when I click it, it actually goes to where I want it to go. And it also looks nicer because it's animating. But another thing I want to change though is, like right now I could scroll down to see the rest of the page, but I don't want to be able to scroll. I just want to cover the whole page. So I think we'd have to change the display instead of, or not the display, but the position. Might have to change that to absolute. Okay, that works, but because it's absolute, remember the parent kind of ignores its height, so the parent doesn't get bigger. But I think if we say position relative on the parent, it might work. Nope, it still doesn't work. Let's see. I guess we might not be able to do it that way. So it'll just have to be the way it is without the position absolute. I mean, it still works. It's just you're able to scroll down. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I don't know. And instead of 100 VH, I think 100 VH is good. Let's let it cover the whole screen. I mean, we could make it shorter, like come up to here. If we don't put 100 VH, we could put something like, I don't know, 500 pixels. Maybe less. Let's do 400 pixels. So it'll only come down to there, not cover the whole page, and you can still scroll. I think that's fine though. It still works. Um, oh, what we could do if we don't want it to cover the whole page is, I mean, if you want to like cover the whole page and not be able to scroll, I think what we could do is, um, we could change the header to position absolute. Oh no, that's gonna mess things up. I mean, that's not what we want really, so that doesn't, I mean, it works, but it doesn't look nice. So let's do, well, I think if we just say width 100%, that should be fine. Yeah, so now it covers without pushing stuff down. Okay. And then to get it to only come out to this much, yeah, I don't think we could do that without messing up the original look of it. Like it's gonna, if I change the width to less than 100%, so it's only like this much of it, then it's always gonna be like that. I can't make it to only change to that whenever I click it. It's always gonna be whatever size I put it. So right now it's 100%. Um, yeah, so I guess we could leave it like that. And if you like it covering the whole thing, instead of, where is it, 400 pixels here, we could leave that on 100 VH. It covers the whole thing. Still lets you scroll down a bit. Not sure why. Is it counting the height of the header? I don't know. Inspect. Okay, let's inspect it. I want to see exactly what's happening. When I click this, why am I able to scroll? It looks like it's the height of the menu, the original 75 pixels. So without really looking too much into it, I could just say height calculate 100 VH minus 70 pixels or whatever the height of the menu was. Okay, maybe a little more, like 75. Let's do 80. I think this comes back to that original problem I was having where when I made the screen smaller, the menu would get kind of taller. So I don't know what height that was or what was causing that to get taller, but that's the same thing making it scrollable right now. So let's try 90 pixels. Still, okay, let's just go to 100. Okay, now, yeah, it covers it and you can't scroll. So something is 100 pixels tall that we need to change. But whatever, it's not a big deal. We could ignore that. Again, it's this extra height. I don't know where it's coming from for the header. We've got the logo up there. There's the nav. Um, it looks like, let's see, it might be the margin on the menu buttons that I added. Where is it? Margin 30 pixels here. It could be this, if I'm not mistaken. Let's comment it out, see if it still happens. Yeah, I guess it was that. Yeah, see, it doesn't get taller anymore. So adding margin to the child element also increases the height of the parent. So maybe we could avoid that if we tell the nav to have, or the UL, or I don't know, maybe the LI. We'll just say height. Just stay at like 70 pixels or something. Let me see if it still happens. Yeah, it's still happening. Or maybe I could just say margin bottom. That works. Now it's 30 pixel margin on the bottom. So it's a little closer together, but we could just increase that to like 60 to have it the way it was without changing the height of the header. Okay, and now we don't need to take off 100 pixels off of this. I could just leave it at 100 VH. I guess it's still getting a little taller there. Oh, because I'm adding margin on the bottom now, that's why. Anyways, we'll just leave it like that. Minus 70, I think. Yeah. Um, Margin bottom 60 pixels. That doesn't look like 60 pixel margin though, so let's figure out why. Oh, I think it's supposed to be 0.60. No. I'm gonna try doing padding instead. Let's do padding on the LI. Padding 30 pixels 0. Yeah, that works. Okay. All right. So now, um, this has to change into an X, which we can. I made a video on how to do it actually. So I'll show you how to do it, and then I'll give you the link to the video on how to change this to an X. So in case you don't figure it out now, you could rewatch that video and maybe figure it out. You could pause it and like see exactly what I'm doing. But what we need to do is basically animate the three lines to rotate. Two of them will rotate. One of them will basically disappear. The other two will rotate. I think 45 degrees to make an X. So let's do that now. So I think we have to add an animation. Okay. So in CSS, you can animate by doing at keyframes. Okay. And then give it a name. So let's say burger, or say add keyframes X if we want, because that's what we're trying to animate. And what we want to do is whatever we're animating, I want to rotate. So starting from 0%, or you could say either start or I think it's start and end, but you could also use percentages. So at 0% of the animation, so in the beginning, the object that we're gonna add this to is gonna have transform rotate I think it's rotating it on the x-axis. So rotate x 0 degrees, and at 100% it's going to transform rotate x, let's say 45 degrees. Let me test it out, see if it's working, because we need to add this animation to whatever we want to rotate. So I want to rotate the span, these right here, but I want that to happen when we click on it though. So we could say menu button focus. We already have focus here. Let's add another one. I'll add it before this. Say end focus without the squiggly line, because oh no, I don't know if this will work. Yeah, we could do end focus span, because that's what we want to rotate, the span. So if we focus on the menu button, which is the parent of the span, we could change the child, I think. So end focus span, we'll do uh, animation. The animation name is X. The duration, let's say 0.5 seconds. Timing function delay, let's say 0 seconds for the delay. Iteration count, like how many times do you want this to happen? I guess 1. Or we might not even have to put this. We could just leave all these out. Let me just see what that does. Uh-oh, we got something invalid here. Oh, put a $sign instead of an end. Okay, save. Nothing's happening. I mean, it seems to be doing something, because it's kind of getting narrower. 0.5 seconds. Let's try just putting infinite here. I don't know if that's gonna change anything. Nope. Um, oh, I'm probably rotating it on the wrong axis, not X, but let's try Y. If it's not Y, it's probably Z. Yeah, we gotta do Z. There's a X, Y, and a Z axis. There it is. Okay, so it rotates, but I want it to stay there. Um, so I don't want it to jump back to being straight. So I think we have to say, where is it? Animation, 0.5 seconds, 0 second delay. What was the other one? We could say 1, because we want it to happen one time. But there's another thing we can add to animation to make it just go from beginning to end and stop there and not reset. But I forgot what it was called. I might have to look it up real quick. CSS, animation, animation, fill mode. We need to change the fill mode. Let's see if there's any example. That's for direction. Timing function, fill mode. Okay. Forwards, I think that's what we need to add. Forwards. Yeah, so now it stays there. We add that forwards. It stays like that. But there's a couple things we need to do now. We need to get rid of that outline that it gets whenever you focus on it. I don't want to see a black outline. We also need to change the animation for the other two. So only one of them I want to rotate like that. The other one I want to disappear. The other one I want to rotate the opposite direction. So it forms an X. So basically, we need to not do this for all the spans, just one of the spans. So we could use end focus span colon nth dash child and just do the first child. So you can see only the first one changes. And then for the second child, we could add a different animation. So I could just copy this and we'll say x1. This one will be x2. This one won't go 45 degrees, it'll go negative 45 degrees. Save that. Oh, we need to add it to something. Keyframes x2. What happened to the other one though? It stopped animating. And child 1. Forwards. Why did this one stop though? All I did was add this, right? Let me take it out. Oh, because I called it x1. Here it should be x1. And then we'll copy this. So x2 will do the same thing. But we want this to be on child 3. Okay. So it's doing what I want, but I also need to move the top one down and the bottom one up a little. And then the middle one, I'll make it disappear. So for these, I'm not just gonna rotate it. I'm also going to, let's see, transform rotate. We'll also do translate. Translate moves stuff, so we need to translate the top one. Let's try 10 pixels. Translate, I think, Y. Uh, didn't seem to do anything. Let me see. Translate Y. Maybe we need a comma. No. Transform rotate Z. Translate Y. Or maybe it did move down. Translate. Let's try bigger amount so we know for sure. 30 pixels. Nope, it's not moving. Um, Maybe it's the X. Nope. Z. That's not it either. Or translate just without the X. No. Okay, I gotta look this up too. CSS transition or transform transition. Oh, you know what? We don't need to use transition actually. Uh, we need to change the top. Okay, so uh, I need to add to these spans. I'll just add position relative. Position relative lets you move something relative to where it normally is using top, bottom, left, or right. So we could say let it start at top 0. And here at 0% it'll be top 0. But at 100% it'll be top, let's say 20 pixels. Let me see if that works. Okay, it's a little too much though. Let's make it go, instead of 20, it's gonna go 10 pixels. Okay, and then we just need to move the other one up 10 pixels. So for the other animation, I'll have top 0, but then it'll go top negative 10 pixels. Oops. Yeah, so now it forms an X. Now we just need to get rid of the middle one. So the middle one will have its own animation. Call this, we should probably call this X3. It's the third one, and then this is the second one. So this one, instead of changing the top, we'll just change the opacity. So opacity changes the transparency of something. From 1 is the default. That means you can see it. And opacity 0 means you can't see it. Okay, now I just need to change the names of these. So this is going to be X3. I'll copy this. And child 2. Have animation X2. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, now it's forming the X that we want. I could, modify the animation if you wanted to look a little bit nicer. What we could do is add like a delay or something. Have it not rotate until the position part is done. We could do that here. Where is it? Okay, here we have the animation, and I have 0-second delay for everything. We can do I'd have to create a separate animation for moving stuff and then a separate one for rotating. Um, I forgot how I did it last time, but that video that I made shows you exactly how to do it the way I want. But for now, I'll just leave it like this and let's get rid of that outline. So to get rid of the outline, we gotta go to the where is it? The span or whatever we're focusing on, which is the div menu, because that's what we're adding the focus to. Div menu and focus is that means we're focusing on this. So that's what's getting that outline around it. So to get rid of the outline, it's not the border, it's something else. I think it's just outline. Outline none. Yeah, so now there's no more outline over it. Okay, but clicking the X doesn't do anything. Right now we have to click anywhere except on basically you click anywhere, you lose focus on it and it disappears again. But if you want to be able to click the X to make this go back to normal, then you'd have to add like an invisible div here that you can click on to lose focus on the menu to make it go away. So you'd have to put an invisible box right here, and it'll look like you're clicking the X, but you're really clicking the invisible box to lose focus on the menu, and then this will close. Okay. I know it's getting a little complicated because that's how it is when you're trying to do these little animations. But now we need to create a div that will come here, and it'll only show up there whenever we click this button. I could go here to the index.html and inside the before the mobile menu, we could add so after the menu button, we can add a sibling to the menu button. Give this an ID of um, invisible, or I just give it the close, ID of close, and then this we'll leave it empty, but I'll give it a width and a height that's the same as the this thing. Let's see. Looks like I didn't give it a height or anything, but the height comes from this right here. So it has the width of the height of 5 pixels plus the margin of 5 pixels plus there's 3 of them. So that's like 3 times 5, 15 plus margin on the top and the bottom. So plus another, I guess that would be 30. So I think the total height of the span, if you calculate it like that, it's 5 times 3 plus 5 times, or plus 10 times 3. So it's going to be 45. So the height of that invisible button, this thing, is going to be have to be 45 pixels, I think. If I'm doing the math right, let's just try it out. So this comes after the menu button. So right here, we'll have that invisible div with the hashtag of close. And let's give this a height of 45 pixels and maybe a width of 45 pixels. And let's also make it position. Let's do either absolute or fixed. Just do absolute. If I don't put position absolute, then it's gonna like move to the side of this thing. But I want it to be in the same exact position as the menu button. So again, right 20, top 20. So we'll copy that, put it here. Let me give it a background color so we can see it, and then I'll take it off. Oops, I can't see it. Oh, I didn't save this yet, that's why. Okay, there it is. So, but I don't want it to show until I click on the button. So div close is going to be display none. But when I focus on the menu, I'll add here, I'll say and, where is it? And focus. I want the other sibling, the squiggly line, div hashtag close. I want that to have display block. So it won't show up until I click on it. So there you go. So now I just have to make it invisible. And then when I click on it, I'll be clicking on the X, but I'll really be clicking on this thing, and it'll make the menu go away. So let's just get rid of the background color so it's invisible. Now you can see when I click the X, the menu closes. Okay, I know that that's probably hard to follow, but that's how you do it. If you don't want to use any JavaScript, you just want to use CSS, that's how you can create this menu. And yeah, I couldn't do it exactly like I planned in Figma, where it comes out only this much, so it has to cover the whole thing, unfortunately. And also, I think we made it slightly transparent. So you could make this slightly transparent too. See, where did I add the background color? On the header. So here where it's white, if you want it to be transparent, just change that to RGBA. And for white, you need 255, 255, 255, and let's say 0.8 for the transparency. Okay, so now it's slightly transparent, so you could still see the picture behind it. You could make it more or less transparent if you want, it's up to you. So the higher that number, the less transparent it's going to be. If I put 0.9 instead of 0.8, be slightly less transparent, but you can still see through it. Okay. Yeah, there's more we can do to the button here. We could make it animate a little bit more nice, but I think that's good enough. We still get it to form an X. Actually, what could we do to? What's something quick I could do to make it look a little nicer? Because it looks like the top one kind of comes from the left side. I don't know why it does that. Instead of just rotating from here, it like seems to be coming down from the right side. The bottom one is okay though. It just goes straight into a 45-degree angle. But the other one sort of comes in from the right. Let me see why. Um, where do we add the animation? For the first one, it's got translate 30 pixels. Oh, sorry, we don't want to translate 30 pixels on 0%. We want that to be here. Oh, actually, we don't want to translate at all, do we? So we just need to take it out, I think. Yeah, that's a little better. But we could even make it better if we play with the delays. but that's a little nicer now. Just forgot to take out the translate earlier. Okay. What else do we need to do here? Let's also fix this. Yeah, I don't want that touching the top, so that's the logo. Height, width, padding right, padding top. Let's make that 30 pixels. That's too much. Let's do 20 pixels. Okay, that's better. And then here it disappears though when we make the screen bigger. So we just need to copy that padding top. Oops, not cut. Copy. So div logo inside the oh, we're already in here. Okay, never mind. Oh, we need to do the opposite. So this has to be here. And make that 20. This one too, I think 20. Where is it? 20. Okay. Alright, that's better. Alright, so now we have a mobile navigation and a full screen navigation. And this video background, I think we should change it to make it nicer. I think there was something here. Yeah, I don't know why that is. It's like something's getting focused and it's showing an outline. But it only happens if I open the menu and then I minimize this or I make it bigger without closing it first. We get this little line here, but I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'm sure we could make it easily go away. We just have to lose focus, or we have to change something's outline to none. So I'm not sure what's focused right now. Inspect menu button. Okay, where I said outline none, where is it? Outline none on the menu button. I also want outline none up here. Full menu. UL or logo. Here, we need to add menu button here as well. Div hashtag menu button. This has to have outline none as well. Okay, that works. So you don't see that weird line anymore. So that was happening because here the button, I took off the outline, but I only took it off for the media query where the screen is smaller. So when I make the screen bigger, it still had an outline. So I had to say outline none on the full screen menu. And yep, that's good. I think we got our menu working. That was probably the hardest part to recreate from Figma. um, Now we need to add a shop button. We need to change the video to like autoplay and make it a nicer video. I never checked how big the file size was on this. Now it's 40 megabytes. It's still big. It's only like 5 megabytes smaller. But whatever, let's just try it out. And the quality should be the same. This one is the slightly smaller file size. This is the original. And I think they look the same. So I'll just use the smaller one. So I'll stick that in here. Put that inside, I guess I'll put it inside the images folder. Or yeah, let's just put it in there. And I'll make the name a little bit shorter. Wait, where did it go? Oh, there it is. Let's just call it scooter.mp4 or m4v. And this will be our background now instead of the YouTube video. So to make this the background, I'll go to my index.html and replace this iframe with video. Okay, to add a video, you can add a source tag inside the video. Um, source equals images, and where's that video? There it is. See what that looks like. Okay, so we replaced the iframe with this, and we can also add if you want to autoplay, you could just add I think we have to add it here on video, autoplay, but it won't autoplay unless you mute it also. Muted, autoplay muted. So now when I open it, it's already playing. So when you first come to the page, it should look like this. So the other thing I need to do is change the height of it, because right now it's kind of tall. So let's go to styles. Before I was changing the iframe, so it's not an iframe anymore, now it's a video. So I'll just change iframe to video. Oh, and it's not covering the whole page. Let's see why. With 100% height, calculate that. I might have to add object fit cover. Yeah. So now it's covering the whole page. So object fit cover just makes it kind of behave like a background video instead of a background image or video instead of a image tag. Because when I put height, calculate this, it was automatically changing the width so that the whole thing could fit inside. But if I say object fit cover, then it's just going to crop off the parts that don't fit. But this is pretty nice video to, I don't know, land on when you first come to the page, I think. And it doesn't show the scooter, so that's good. It could be any scooter. And then we could add a little button here that says shop. But, you know, like I said, it's 40 megabyte video. So if we actually put this on a server and someone like came to your page, it might take a long time to load the video. Right now it's happening fast because I have the video right here. So it just loads right away. But if this was up on a server, it might take longer to load the video. But at least you know how to do it. So the only thing you'd have to do different is try to find a video that's smaller, maybe like 5 seconds long, that loops, so it loads quickly. This is like a full long video, that's why it was so big. At this point, I'm just gonna give you guys everything I've done so far. So let me close this and I'll upload this to the OneDrive, okay? And I'll link to the file. So here we need to put it here. Where is it? I'll put it in a new folder. Call it scooter site example. And let me just drag this in here. Is it uploading? There it is. And in case you lost the link to this, here it is again. Shared. Anyone can edit. No. Copy. And here you go. Yeah, I noticed whenever I'm trying to watch a video tutorial and learn from it, you learn better if you don't try to follow along. If you just watch like a 5 minute clip at a time and then try to repeat everything you saw in that 5 minutes. So maybe when I'm teaching, I'll try to do 5 minute at a time and then give you 5 minutes to try what I did instead of talking the whole time. But I'm giving you the file so that you don't have to worry about following along. Instead, you could just listen, try to understand what I'm doing, and then I'll just give you the file. I think you'll learn better that way. um, yeah, so go ahead and download that. See if it works. It should work. Just download it, unzip it, and then you should be able to see this. And it should work. You make the screen smaller. You get a button. You can open this. When I make the screen smaller though, I don't know why this gets pushed up. Well, that's probably because I made um the header, I made it position absolute. So remember, when you make something position absolute, other things ignore it. So the video is kind of ignoring that this menu is here. So when I do this, the video gets pushed up. So all you'd have to do is, for the smaller version in the media query, just add margin top on the video of however tall this is. Let's say 70 pixels or whatever height this has. You just have to add that margin on the top. But it's not a big deal. I think you can leave it as it is. It's just getting pushed up behind the menu. So I'll let you guys download that. So I'll wait like 5 minutes, and then we'll add the button here for shop. Oh, also, the X animating into a X and then going back to a hamburger. Right now, it's just jumping back to the hamburger icon, which is fine. But in case you wanted to animate back into the three signs, the three lines, you could just change where you put the transition on this. Well, we didn't use a transition though. We used animation. Let me go to VS Code again. Where did I put the animation? So I put it here. We could, instead of putting it here, um, oh, you know what? This isn't how I did it before. I didn't use animation. Even though you could use animation, just like this, by using these. We could have done this without the add keyframes. I could have just used transitions. And then, yeah, we wouldn't need the add keyframes. But that tutorial video that I made on the hamburger icon It shows you how to do it with transitions instead of animations. Um, okay. So here we wouldn't put animation. We would just have to put transition. But I have to change a few other things though. But I don't want to confuse you guys now. But you could do this instead of animation. You could use transition, and it wouldn't have a transition name. It would have the property name instead of x1. I'd say what I want to transition, and that would be the uh transform. Yeah. And then I would have to add another transition. Well, you would have to put it here after this, I think. You could transform. So the transform part is the rotating part. The other thing was changing the top from 0 to something else. Uh, then you'd have to. This wouldn't be forwards. You wouldn't need that anymore. You would just need to do transform. Transition, transform 0.5 seconds. Actually, we'd put 0 for that. 0-second delay. We wouldn't need that. And then I think we'd have to add, I think a comma. And then we'd have to do top. And then this one maybe take point, oh, let's say the whole thing takes 0.5 seconds. This wouldn't have a 0-second delay. This would have a 0.25-second delay. I think we'd also have to put 0.5 here, 0.25-second delay. And then instead of having the animation here that tells it to rotate and stuff, you could put that here. So this one, the first child right now doesn't have an animation. It has a transition instead. Let me see if it still works. Watch SAS. Okay, you could see there is slight difference. It first rotates and then it moves down, but I think I did it backwards. I wanted to do it backwards, so the transition is, instead of being on the focus part, I would have to cut it out and put it on the original span. I don't know if that's working how I want. Oh no, we need to actually do it backwards. This would have to be 0.25. This would have to be 0. Why isn't it changing? Oh yeah, now it is. Okay, so it moves down and then it turns into an X. So you just have to put I guess get rid of these. It's better to do it with the transition, I think. So let me just comment that out. Where is it? Comment this out, but I still need this. So the second one, keyframes. Where's the other one? Okay. Oops. Comment all of these out. But I want to also take this for the last line. Instead of animating this part inside the add keyframes, um, not that one, this one, the third one. Instead of animating it here, I'll copy this and we can comment these two out. And nth child 3, instead of animation, we'll have a transition. So we'll be transitioning the transform and the top. So I could get rid of this because I already added transition here. This will affect all of the spans. There we go. I think that looks, well, at least the X part, when going to an X, that looks a little bit nicer. Coming back though, it still does it weird. But we could just, instead of putting the transition here like this, I could copy this. And then for the first one, we could make it do the opposite. So here instead of 0.25, I'll put 0. And here instead of 0, I'll put 0.25. And same thing for nth child 3. I think now I'll get it to animate exactly how I want. Oh no, that made it worse. Uh, 0. Uh, I don't know. it's doing the translate first, and then it's rotating. Whenever I'm going from an X to the 3 lines, first this moves up, the other one moves down, and then it rotates. So I wanted to do the opposite though. So what's happening? If we have 0.25 seconds for the transform delay, that means the rotating part is happening second. But I've also put that here. Let me try this 0.20, 0.0, 0.25. Just have to mess with it till it works. Oh, there we go. That's what I want. Okay, so for this one, the original inside the span, you're gonna do 0-second delay on the transform, and then 0.25-second delay on the top, and then on the end focus part, you're gonna do transform 0.25-second delay and 0-second for the top. So whatever you did here, you do the opposite here for the delays. And then if you do it that way, you could have a nicer looking animation where, I don't know, it just forms an X a little bit more nicely and then goes back to the 3 equal signs. But yeah, you don't need the animation. I still left the animation for the one where it's going from opacity 1 to 0, just so we could have an example of both ways to do it. One using add keyframes, and the other ones are using the transition. So for nth child 2, I'm still using animation. I just put the transition for the first and the last one. So the top and the bottom one are using transition, the middle one is using animation. But that's basically what I want it to look like. So if you downloaded it, just add this. Instead of animation, do transition. So on span, I'm gonna add transition, transform. So the transform, remember, that's the rotating part, because I'm adding transform rotate Z 45 degrees. So the rotating property is gonna have a 0-second delay on this one, and then the top 10 pixels is gonna have a 0.25-second delay. And then when we focus, it's gonna be the opposite. The transform is gonna be 0.25-second delay, and the top is gonna be 0-second delay. If you want it to animate a little bit nicer. Yeah, and the only way we would be able to make this cover only this part of the screen is if we used JavaScript to like listen for a click event on this, and then we could change the style of the header. But with CSS, you can't really change the style of the parent by clicking on the child. Right now we're animating it because we're clicking the menu button, which is a child of the header. And when we click that menu button, we change its sibling, the span. Or not the sibling, but the child. And we also change the sibling, the nav. So you're able to change siblings and children, but you can't really change the parent of this, which is the header. So that's why I can't make it only cover half the page. It has to cover the whole thing. Okay, enough talking. You guys downloaded it, right? And you could copy my transitions or leave it as it is if you don't mind it animating differently. But that's all I did here, and I commented out keyframes x1 and x3. So x2 is the only one that's using add keyframes right now. The others are using the transition. This one's still using animation. So if you want, you could copy that real quick. I'll wait like 20 seconds. But let's put the button next for shop. Alright, I think that's enough time. Alright, so we need to add a button. So it's gonna look like this, the shop button in the middle. So for that, we need to create a button. You could use a button or you could use a div. It doesn't matter really. So it's gonna be in the main section. So same place where we put the video, we can add a div here. Give it an ID. ID equals shop button, and inside that maybe we'll have an h2 that says shop. If I just do this like this, no styling, it's gonna just be up there. But I want it to be in the middle here, so we're gonna have to change the position of the shop button to absolute, and then have it here somewhere. So we could just go to CSS. Remember, it's inside the main, so inside my CSS, after header, we have, okay, I haven't even done a style yet for the main section. Well, this is for the media query. Let's go back to the original. Here it is, main video. So before video, we have a button. So div hashtag menu button is what I called it. Okay, div hashtag menu button. Because I added this div with an ID of, oh, sorry, shop button, not menu button. Shop button. Div hashtag shop button is this div right here. So just put this div inside main before the video. And then in our styles, we add inside where we have main and video. Before the video, just like we have it in the HTML, we're gonna add div shop button. And we're gonna say position absolute. Remember, when you put something position absolute, other elements will ignore it. So that lets me put this wherever I want without pushing other things around. Let me div shop button, save, and refresh. Okay, so now it's, instead of being on top, it's inside the video. So now we just need to move this to the middle and make it bigger and maybe put a background color on it or something. So let's start by giving it a background color. And I'll make it white and transparent. RGBA 255, 255, 255, 0.9. Uh-oh. Save. So I'm adding a background color on the shop button. So now it's got this white background color. And let's give it some, let's change the font size, make it bigger. Say 2EM. Okay, it's bigger now. And bring it to the middle. To bring it to the middle, we need to do, since I'm using position absolute, it's not going to be margin auto like I normally do. With position absolute, you have to use transform, translate x 50%, and left negative 50%. I might have it backwards, but that's how you do it. Transform, translate 50%, and left negative 50%. So it's like you're translating it halfway and then you're pulling it back the other way. So it brings it to the middle somehow. I might have it backwards because I don't see it. Might be transform negative 50% and left 50%. Yeah, okay, so now it's in the middle. So the translate one is negative, left is positive 50. That brings it to the middle. Also, I'm looking at this. I'm not using the live server to look at it. That's why I keep having to refresh. So let me close that and use live server. Let's close that, make this smaller. Okay, now to bring it down, we can, what can we do? Oh, and at the smaller size, it goes up. So at the smaller size, I might have to bring it down more. Or I could do that thing what I said earlier, which is um, push the menu down or the main section down the height of the navigation. But like this, we need to push it down to, doesn't have to be in the center. I could just push it down however much I want using top. Um, let's try top. How about 30 VH? Let's see what that does. That brings it down a little bit. And also, I'm going to give it some padding, maybe on the left and the right. So top and bottom's fine, but I want some more space on the sides. So, padding, say 20 pixels or 0 pixels, 20 pixels. 0 top and bottom, 20 on the sides. And then we could make this a button if we go to the HTML here and wrap this with the A tag. Let's say href equals shop.html, and did it work? Href equals shop.html. Why is it not a button? Not sure why it's not letting me click it. Put it in an A tag. Maybe it's the Z index. I don't know. And I could click this, but not this. So what could be causing that? Let's go to styles, shop button, position absolute, padding. No idea. I could focus on it and press enter and that works. but I can't seem to click on it though. Let's try, where is it? Main, shop button, H2, A. Oh, sorry, this is the CSS. I don't want to change this. Oops. Close that. Don't save. SCSS. Shop button. um, H2, A. Let's try changing the Z index to 100. And the Z index to 100 is not going to work unless this is position relative or something. It still don't work. Let's try putting the padding instead of on the shop button. Instead of on the div, I'll put it on the A. Still. And what else? I wonder if the translate has to do with it. Let me turn this off for a second. Oh, that's weird. I could click on it now, but when I add this, I can't click on it anymore. Why is that? Very weird. So this seems to mess it up somehow. Let me try it without the transform. Let's see if we could do right 50%. An alternative way to center it. Yeah, it lets me click on it now, but then the white background is gone. I don't know what's going on. The range. Also using right 50%, left 50%. It doesn't center it as nicely. It's a little too much on the right side. But I could click on it, but it doesn't have the background anymore. I could just take the background. Instead of having it on the button, put it on the A. That brings it back. Oops. But now, to get it back into the middle exactly, not sure what I have to change. Maybe right. Let's give it a width first. Let's say instead of padding, I'll say width 100 pixels or 150 pixels. Oh, we also need to say display block. Display block. Text align center. And then since it's 100 pixels wide, I think I need to move it 100 pixels this way. So write 50%, maybe write calculate 50% minus 100 pixels. I'm just guessing here. That didn't work though. Minus 100%. Oh, it works that way. Kind of. It's not exactly in the middle though. About half 50 pixels. Uh, it's more in the middle, but what is this? 20 pixels? Nope, that's okay. 70 pixels. I know it's not 100 pixels because that was too much. So for some reason, I gotta do 50% minus 80 pixels. I don't know why it comes out to that. It's close enough to the center, I think. Anyway, just some experimenting, and that seems to work. So we could take out left 50%. We'll do that. Okay, so new way to center this is we're gonna say right calculate 50% minus 80 pixels, and then we don't need the left anymore. Yeah, because translate for some reason was making it disappear. I couldn't click on it anymore, even though I could see it. But like this, it works. Oh, it's 950. Okay, let me just I'll upload the code again. I'll give you an update with the shop button, and then you guys can sign out. The sign out code is, let's go yellow. 14. And yeah, I'll upload what I did so far. Oh, I never gave you the video on the menu button. If we go to YouTube, detective, where is it? These two. Copy, paste, and the other one, part 2, share, copy, paste. Here's the new version. Oops. Bring this in here. Replace. And then bring this one. Replace. Okay. Alright, good night, you guys.